his own dogged, plain-spoken approach, that in the years since the publication of A People's History of the United States in 1980, the text has moved from the fringes of the American conversation much closer to the center. Other troublemakers were, of course, also breaking into the American story. Women, African Americans, Latinos and Latinas, sexual minorities, and so on. Time, arguments, and an increased willingness to debate not only the plain facts of our national story, but also what they mean, were moving the needle, leaving us, in Zinn's own words, ready to rethink long-held ideas. In the nearly 40 years since the first edition of A People's History appeared, Zinn's critics have tried to sandbag him. Some complain that his iconoclasm, his tearing down of long-revered heroes, and his corrections to the record leave only a dreary slog through centuries of oppression, struggle, and suffering. Well, a historian's job is to find out what actually happened. The horrors are there, all right, and Zinn is clear-eyed and persistent in forcing us to look at them. Economic exploitation is never far from Zinn's mind. As he recounts the history of the robber barons of the 19th century, the poor and working-class men of the South who took up arms for the Confederacy, the girls of the mill towns in Massachusetts who walked away from their machines to fight for better pay, the farmers driven to revolt by ruinous taxes on land. They all are characters in Zinn's American drama. Moving economics closer to the center of American history is more common today. In 1980, the lives and struggles of ordinary people had to muscle their way into the story, to take up a place alongside generals on horseback. Stirring words of historical documents and manifest destiny. However, in A People's History, and later in A Young People's History of the United States, as well as throughout the book you are currently listening to, right there along with the struggle and suffering is Zinn's idealism, embodied in a tableau vivant of new heroes along with the new perspectives. The historian wants to shatter your old notions about U.S. history. In the very same moment, he wants to remind you of the power of common people to challenge authority, improve their own circumstances, and change their country for the better. The historian, the World War II veteran, the writer, the teacher, is pulling on your sleeve again and again, saying, "Wait, there's more to this story." By filling out the picture, by shining a light on the dark corners, we're not tearing down your country. We're telling a more complicated story. We're telling, as a result, a more interesting story. In short, we're telling you the truth. In the interview you're about to hear, and throughout his published work, Zinn does not hesitate when it is required to tell a fuller truth about our country's supposed heroes. Pick up a typical U.S. history textbook and you'll find celebrations of Theodore Roosevelt. Howard Zinn instead focuses on his bellicosity and racism. By contrast, during Martin Luther King Jr.'s public life and after his assassination, his detractors sought to use the civil rights leader's personal foibles to undermine his moral authority. Zinn takes a different approach. Discussing King's life, Zinn said, "What all people have in common is flaws and contradictions. What they don't have in common is that some people are not admirable in their relationship to society. Some people are acquirers of wealth and makers of war, and other people are people like King, who struggle for justice and speak out against war. It is those differences that are crucial in assessing human beings." It is a time of striking division in the United States, not only over history, but also over what this country's role should be in